recording. All right, this is episode 9, 8, 9. I think it's 9 of Fields of Dreams. Um, and we have a guest, which is not great because we're gonna lose half of our viewership because of this guest.
Yeah,
But
it's our only viewer, bro.
I know that Adcock listens to it. He says he listens to it at double speed during work. So hi Adcock. We'll try not to shit on you, because he thinks we shit on him a lot, but I don't think we do that bad of a job, honestly. But anyways, welcome Andrew. It's good to
What's
have you.
up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Glad to be a part of something that I helped start
Yeah, that's true.
unintentionally.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That you did the original podcast. Um, what was like? How did you even think about doing that? Where did you come up? Like, where did you find that?
So honestly, I was just doing the Dynasty Daddy, like submit it and they give you back that report thing. And then I noticed on their website that they had like coming soon 2023 roster reviews. And it was also kind of like that, all right, it was a really, really bad season. But obviously I was tanking for a reason. So it's kind of like, all right, how far away am I still in other people's eyes? You know what I mean? So I just started it off selfishly, then I was like, you know what? This is too fun. I got to share it with everybody else.
I think we loved
Yeah, and
it.
that
It was
dude, that
super fun.
was so entertaining. Everyone was talking about that for weeks, and obviously it turned into us wanting to make our own podcast. So it was great.
Would I do it again? I don't know. Not solo funding, but for a
Yeah,
one-time thing, why not?
I mean, how much was that? Like $80? Was that?
70 or 80, something like that. So prices vary by like league size and everything,
It's
but
kind of tempting to do it again, is because we
like
talk so much about
$5
our
a
own
person.
league here. I'm sure a few of us would kick in to do an independent, source of
Oh, for
information.
sure.
That'd be pretty fun again. It'd be
you can
actually
pay
even
me
more
if you
fun.
want. I'll give you analysis of your team, Paul.
Well, Alec, we were talking about a business idea, earlier this week or last week. But apparently there's already a competitor out there, for what's it called? What is
The
that
warp
noise
tool.
I hear? Do you guys see my screen, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, the Vorp tool. So, because I've been playing around with the Sleeper API with like the standings and the scoring and stuff to see what the defensive scoring has been looking like. So, Alec and I were talking about doing a Vorp tool of some sort, which would be interesting. Maybe we just release it for free. I doubt that those guys are making much money off of it, to be honest.
Some subscription-based model, $5 a month, maybe less.
$15 a month. Yeah, you're
You think it's that valuable?
right. It can't
That's the
be.
way to do it. Subscription model everything.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not even really sure what we're. Let's just talk about the. Let's look at the transactions real quick, see what we got, and from there we can kind of go. So today we want to talk about the playoff race, maybe like predictions on the playoff race, predictions on the tank off. Do you think that Mike or Zach has the third pick on lock?
I think Zach's got it in the bag now. He's in tank mode.
Also, will Todd tank,
No,
and will he
he will not.
sell? Will he sell anything? Do you think that he has any chance whatsoever of getting into the playoffs? All right, that's. Oh yeah, and then tanking rules. Like we had that kicker discussion last time, and I had thought about it some more. So we can look into that a little bit more as well. And maybe Sam will get on at some point. I'm not sure, but
Can't
we
forget divisions.
and division. Oh yeah, divisions is. I'm gonna bold it. I want to talk about divisions. I like the division idea. This is a biased podcast. Well, I don't know if maybe it's just a popular idea, but I think the people on this podcast seem to like the divisions idea, so we can flesh it out a little bit more. I know that Austin has has some hesitation towards the winners, like the division idea, but we can talk about it later. All right, let's see if we have any interesting transactions. Were there any? I cannot remember. Um,
Well, we had you helping out Adcock's tanking mission.
yeah. Oh, wait, did the Buda Baker one already happen? No, I don't.
Well, it's been 2 weeks, so no, I don't think we've talked about that.
And then Mike Evans, we definitely talked about already. Darius Smith, we talked about. I don't think we talked about the Buda Baker. No, I think we did. I think we did. Am I
Did
wrong?
we?
Yeah. So Grant, we can talk about it again, I guess. Just
I think we
real
did
quick.
talk about it because we. But yeah, what's there to say? Boo Baker, good player.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Did we talk about the Taysom Hill? No, I think did we talked about all of this.
I think, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're really
November. Yep.
we really only have the Landman trade to talk about, and yeah, because we talked about Demario Douglas as well. All right, Landman for a second and a fourth, and Gardner Johnson. What's his first name? I forget.
Is it CJ?
CJ.
CJ, right? Okay, CJ. I wish I could click it. Which side do you take?
At the time of the trade, I was like, wow, that's an overpay. But I actually think Landman is pretty good, and Gardner Johnson is one of those
Why do you think
nickel
Landman
safeties.
is good?
He's been racking up the like game breaking plays like INTs, sacks, tackle for losses.
Is that
Um,
like 2 weeks of him having a few game like he's played a really good 2 weeks, right?
yeah, I'm
But
I'm not
is
saying
that
I would
enough
pay that. I'm just saying it's been worth a second so far for sure.
so far? Yeah. I mean, okay, so he has had one. He's had him for one game now, right? Or did he has he had? No, he just had him for the one game. He had a big game, 30-point game. Zach trades him off of that, and then he had another 30-point game. Had a big game. Do you think like I'm not sure if Landman's really playing well enough to necessarily have a role next year? He's playing really well, so does that mean who's a because it's Caden Ellis there, then Troy Anderson. Landman might be playing himself into a starting role. If that's the case, then maybe the second's okay. I
To
don't
I feel
know.
like
me,
it might depend on how you value Gardner Johnson too, long term. Like if he's just going to be a cornerback, or if he could get into that safety role eventually.
I don't know if
yeah,
I
Wasn't there
even
talk about him potentially being a safety when he was coming out? Or am I
yeah,
just
I
making that up?
no, you're right. So I think there was discussion about is he gonna play the deep safety role or is he gonna play the close to the line safety role? Because a lot of teams are doing three safety packages nowadays. Um, and so yeah, Paul just brought it up. He actually had an okay start to the beginning of the season, and then he got injured. Um, but he's a guy that I've seen when IDP shows are talking about DBs. He's a guy that they say keep an eye out for.
yeah, I mean, I don't know
Oh, a
if you
lot of
really
hype,
can
and
just
then I was going to say too, like if a fourth is what it takes sometimes just to get something over the line, so be it.
yeah, to me this feels like I feel like Gardner Johnson's more of a fourth, and that really makes Landman the second, which to me feels high. I think I'd rather have the picks here, but I can understand why Sam's doing it, you know. He he's lost some linebackers. He's looking for some linebacker depth. Landman's gonna have a great role for the rest of the year, so at least you're guaranteed the points for the rest of the year and hopefully some more in the years beyond. So,
If Landman scores 17 a game rest of the year and never plays another NFL snap, but he contributes to the championship push,
is he really
it's worth
scoring
it.
17 a game? Maybe with these last 2 weeks. I'm just a little skeptical on if 2 sacks and an interception is reproducible. Because before that, it's 16, 13, 13, 20, 13. Those are decent numbers, but it's more like what, averaging 14-ish.
Right.
So if he can keep putting up like a sack every once in a while, an interception every once in a while, forced fumble every once in a while, then yeah, looks okay. I still wouldn't pay it, but to be honest, sometimes you do have to pay, and it's with Adcock, so I'm sure there was a little bit of back and forth there, but whatever. All right, Marquise Bell. Okay, then there's my trade. Marquise Bell for Muma, Pace, and the fourth. So I'm gonna take the Muma, Pace, and a fourth side, especially after Marquise Bell barely played last game. So I'm not really sure what's happening there. I hope it's because it's just because of injury, because he had a questionable designation going into the week. But Pace, it looks like he might be starting now for Minnesota,
Yeah,
since
with the injury, kind of unlucky for you.
very unlucky for me. So we'll see. Who knows? What are you guys
I think
thinking?
if you saw the injury to Jordan Hicks happen, you definitely don't include Pace in that trade. Am I right about that?
I mean, the injury to Hicks wasn't really the thing about that was he came back in the game, and this was like such a freak occurrence, this injury to Hicks. Like, have you even heard about compartment syndrome before? It's
I have
wild.
not.
Yeah, like it's literally the muscle. Apparently, the muscle like is just expanding and causing a bunch of pressure to like occur within the leg, and the surgery is literally just to open up the leg to let that pressure loose for a bit, and then you sew it back up and go
What?
about your day. Compartment syndrome. Have you ever heard of that? I've never heard of that in my life.
No.
So
It's just like releasing like gas or something. Like how that doesn't. That's wild.
I have no
That's wild.
idea. It's anyways, I don't think I could have predicted this one. And he
No.
Nobody can predict it. But
yeah.
I'm just saying the fact that
But
Ivan Pace has a potential role now because of the freak occurrence, you probably don't include him in that trade if that trade happened
Yeah, I
tomorrow.
think I think for sure, for sure. Yeah. So
A little unlucky.
little unlucky.
what
At least
intrigued you about? Oh, sorry.
Marquise Bell.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. What intrigued you about Marquise Bell? Just the double designation, or
Double designation. He was starting to get some decent playing time, and there's a decent amount of hype on him. At least on like the Cowboy circles. He was playing pretty well apparently. We'll see. I wonder what happens or why he didn't play much. Because he did have this calf issue. He's playing linebacker after playing safety. They converted him, and at least according to PFF, he's like had some pretty good games. So it was more
All
of a
right, so that
dart
was the
throw.
bullshit answer. The correct answer is that Paul wants to take points off of Adcock's roster.
there?
It was a little bit of both, to be honest, but it was mostly that. I mean, look, I'm looking at this. I'm like, hey, if he can be a middle linebacker and take over that role with Vander Esch, like going out for the year. Well, I didn't know he was out for the year yet, but it looked pretty bad, the neck injury, and it turns out it is. I'm dreaming of 20 points per game out of my DB slot here for like to me a very reasonable price because I don't care about Muma really. I liked pace and a fourth, so if it was more than I wanted to pay, I just thought, oh, maybe this guy can be the missing piece that adds, 10 points per game to my roster, but maybe not. Oh well. Anyways,
and I guess to be fair, like the Cowboys kind of had that game in hand pretty early, so they don't need to risk anybody if they're having any injury
yeah,
issues.
the problem is he didn't play much in the first quarter either, so I'm not really sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we will see. I'm not sure. I think I mean, he had good snap counts in the weeks before, so it stands to reason that they like him enough that I'm not sure if it was like a game plan thing or whatnot, but who knows?
Listen, he's not going to take away from my boy Damone Clark. Okay, true LB1. Oh man.
All right, so that's transactions. Let's look at the state of the league, huh? See, very interesting. I'm not sure what we left it at 2 weeks ago. I know that Andrew, you were in the playoffs 2 weeks ago, and you're now right on the edge, right?
Yeah, as of
Yeah,
now, I am out on points for.
Barely.
the
However,
standings last week. I was in 6th place last week. I think Paul was in 7th.
No,
And
I think
then
I
I
was
think
in 6th and you were in 7th because I think I had more points for than you did last week.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we were tied. In
Yeah, because you're only 29, what is it? Or 19
where
ahead
was
of
Todd sitting at?
Todd. I think Todd must have been out already, was he? Or maybe not. Because he would have been 5 and 4.
That may
And we were both 5 and 4. I think Andrew was 6 and 3. Did you just lose, Andrew? It doesn't matter.
yeah.
I think Andrew is in the 4 spot, so we've had a little bit of a shuffle here.
Yeah, big shuffle. We still have Shane's currently in the playoffs, and basically Alec and I are rooting for Andrew to probably to not win anything here, because otherwise we'd have to compete against Shane for that last spot. So sorry, Andrew, but I think
Yeah,
even if you've
comes with the
noticed, we keep
territory.
like predicting you to lose. At least I do. So it's more wishful
It's
thinking.
okay when it comes to that. When it comes to that time, you'll see my trend as well. So
So, yeah, no, it's interesting. We had Andrew and Todd have their big runs. Todd obviously was more of like a, I don't know. That run was more insane.
Was he
Um,
5 and 1?
5 and 0 at one point, wasn't he?
5 and 0? Jesus.
5 and 0, and then 5 straight losses. Will he finally get a win? Oh, he has Jack this week, so maybe he does get a win here. 6 and 5. Andrew, who are you playing? Oof, that doesn't look good. Um,
not ideal.
Meanwhile, oh yeah, then Alec, we play each other, so I think we're the match of the week this week probably. So,
The battle for the 4 seed.
I don't know. Who do you guys think is gonna make it to the playoffs? Do you think Shane keeps it there?
I think this is my actual opinion. I think Andrew and Shane are battling for that last spot. I feel like Paul and I have kind of pushed up to where it's a little safer.
But how
And
can Andrew even like Andrew can't even compete against Shane really, can he? Do you really?
It's
well,
it's
so the
really gonna
situation
take
that
like
needs to happen is that one of us needs to have one win fewer than Andrew. So Andrew ends up in like the 5th or 4th seed.
Yeah.
And then you and I, Paul, are quite a bit ahead of Shane in points for now, about
No, we're
90
not.
points.
Barely.
I'm like 90 points ahead.
You're 90 points ahead. That's not much, honestly. Like one week really wipes that out. A couple bad weeks can wipe that out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have any more bad weeks though. So, um,
I think you're a lot.
so I just mean to say that it's not like a 1 week gap. That's probably like a 2 or 3 week gap.
It's possible, but it's really easy to imagine him scoring 320 for 2 weeks in a row while you score like 280. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'll never
very
say that it's
possible.
impossible,
Yeah.
but there is a gap now, and so that's kind of the ideal situation for Andrew is uh, us battling out with Shane, of course.
Yeah, and one of us is losing this week, so Andrew, if you just beat Sam, tall task, but if you beat Sam, then all of a sudden you're right back in the playoffs. So,
honestly, last week was more of a make or break for my season. Looking back on it now, than I realized in the moment. Just having Ford, but he had a couple of buys with Waddle and Devontae out. Those are the two names that stood out to me, and then just my team did not. Well, it was. I mean, T. Higgins losing him late did not help. Figured I'd get a little bit more out of Minshew.
yeah, Minshew's.
You've been getting a lot of big weeks out of your DLs as well, and I don't think Watt or um,
Watt had
the Raiders guy
25.
did he?
Crosby.
Crosby had an off week.
Crosby.
Okay, Watt was
Oh, Watt
fine.
Yep.
did have 20. Yeah, Watt had
But yeah,
25.
those
Uh,
are kind of like your anchors this year. I feel.
yeah,
Crosby,
it's a
did he
little
get
bit
injured during the
too.
game, or
No, he. I mean, he's had that designation
uh,
for past couple weeks.
so he just had
It's
a
always starts
first
off
down
as
game in a while?
limited, goes to yep.
Worst week
Which I
yet.
mean,
Huh. It still wouldn't have saved you, but still.
I mean, DLs are DLs, right? It happens, but doesn't help in a must-win matchup.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Nope.
how it works.
But I mean, at this point though, I'm on the outside looking in, and it's gonna take somebody else screwing up for me to get in. That's really the realistic way of looking at it.
Well,
But I
let's
don't
look
regret
at
any of
the
my
rest of the
moves for a
schedule
second.
for you. So you got Sam next week. Let's call that unlikely victory. Sam's just killing everybody.
Except for you and me.
Who do you got 11 or 12, 13, 14?
I think it
See, I'm
goes
gonna look
in
right
some
now.
combination of Kyle, Paul, and Todd.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, you can't
2 and
look at
2 is a
schedules
realistic.
on the web. Sorry. Yeah, so you got Sam this week, Kyle, Todd, and so it's me, week 13. Um, yeah, if you upset me, that'd be really doubly good for you, you know. So that's kind of like the realistic shot is if you can beat me. If you beat
Really, it's
me,
just
and then
like if
it's
I can,
go ahead.
yeah, if I can go 3-1, like somehow out of this last stretch, then I feel pretty good. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would. If I do the odds, I wouldn't say I have more than a 65% chance of beating you. It's probably lower than that, to be honest, with all the volatility. So your chances are probably higher than you think, actually. And
yeah, it's just seeing that difference in points for right now and 6th versus 7th with Shane. That's
yeah, it's hard. I really don't want to be down there with Shane because I'm not as confident as Alec is here.
Bro, just gap him.
all it takes is a couple of 400-point weeks, super casual, and I'm right back in it.
Do it, bro.
Okay, so Alec, you have me, Jack, Zach, Adcock, and then Shane to end it. So tough matchup against me, of course. I'll probably win. Then, but you basically have 2 free wins with Jack and Zach.
I lost Adcock earlier in the year.
Well, his team's only gotten worse, so.
He scored like 360 on me.
I don't know what's my schedule like. I don't know if I've checked recently.
You've got Kyle and Todd.
Oh, nice. And then Andrew, of course. Which, yeah, I feel like I really do need to win 3 out of these 4. But if I score enough, then it doesn't matter anyways, because I feel like one of either you or me will make it in the top 5 slots, and then I just have, one of us just has to outscore Shane, which I still think is more difficult than you're making it seem, but we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who makes the top 2 seeds? Do you think Zach maintains it, or do you think I feel like Sam's gonna definitely retake his spot?
Yeah, if Sam just like catches one win on one of their off weeks, he's got it easy with
Yeah.
his points for.
Well, we'll see.
Austin's team is hurting.
Heard.
Zach's team is a little
Well,
better than his record. Not a bad team, but better
Okay,
than his
guys.
record.
In your
there's a
position.
key matchup for.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say there's a key matchup for that discussion next week, week 12, with Sam playing Zach.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
You could catch up right there.
That'll be everything right there. All right, we'll be keeping an eye on that and voting on it. Okay, guys. Out of all these QBs, which is the one you trade for if you're in Austin's shoes?
Well, there's one right at the top there who also happens to be the backup for one of his hurt QBs right now. It won't cost as much as any of the others. So that's my opinion.
I like how everybody
But
has sent Austin their shit QB or whoever
I know.
QB. I think he's probably fielded about 15 offers, and I at least I know that mine have not been responded to yet, so I don't
You
think
want to
they're
hear
the
my
most
take?
competitive
I
offers.
I don't have a backup QB to give him, so I tried to orchestrate a three team trade with him. Give Kyle or give Austin Kyle's QBs, and yeah, that didn't work out. But that was my take at trying to get Austin some QBs. I was of course only asking for AJ Brown. I don't know why he didn't accept.
I went way lower with
Small
my
asking
ass.
price.
I got some decent rentals. I was hoping that he might want, a little bit of Carson Wentz up in there, but we'll see. Austin, respond
The
to my
real question
trades.
is, though, the real question is, do we have a repeat of last year with a Kyler trade?
What, where the trade goes down and then instant ACL?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, with any Austin trade, as you can see, it's just an injury waiting to happen.
It's really
Brutal luck.
brutal luck, but it's also the week that Kyler came back. So, in my head, it's all just karma, I guess. It's not his fault. It's not my fault, but feels like karma.
For fielding Watson.
Well, for trading me Garoppolo and trading me Kyler. Isn't it? It's funny, right? It's the week like all of his QBs. Well, of course, AR went down earlier in the year, way early in the year, but Garoppolo gets replaced. What, last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? No, it was last week. Um, when did Cousins go down? Was that last week too, or was it 2 weeks ago?
Last week.
Last week, and then um, this week, Watson goes down for the year. It's like Kyler stole all their energy to make his
To
comeback.
come back. That's funny.
So, suck it, Austin. Sorry, Austin.
Hey, well, you gotta be pretty happy to have Kyler back.
Yeah, I
And
watched
he
that
looked
whole
pretty
game.
decent.
Looked good. He had that one, oh man, there's two huge plays. He barely missed
Oh yeah, he just missed
Marquise
Hollywood.
Brown.
I watched that.
Yeah. And then he almost had a touchdown. He was short by like 2 inches, um, Wilson. So it could have been an even bigger game.
Yeah, to me he looks like just like old times Kyler. So
Yeah, he looked really good. That offense looks pretty solid with him, to be honest. So we'll see, with more teams and not playing the Falcons. Although the Falcons have had a pretty good defense this year. So I'm optimistic. I'm very happy to have a real quarterback instead of starting Derek Carr some weeks. I mean, now I can at least now only my second QB is bad. I appreciate that. Okay. Uh, so we think Adcock has the third pick locked down. I really think. I mean, Todd is actually very close to some of those picks. Like he's not far off of Mike. He's only like 100 points off of Zach. It'd be pretty hard to tear it down, but I mean, he could sell some pieces. I don't really see him having any chance at the playoffs whatsoever.
I agree with this. I've tried trading with him,
Oh yeah.
and he he's definitely still going for it.
Well, I tried trading for a kicker from him, a kicker,
A kicker?
and I offered like a fifth rounder. I don't know what you guys think kickers are worth. And he declined it and never responded. And I offered it again this week, and I still don't have a response. I'm not sure why he's carrying three kickers on his roster, but that's life, I guess. I just want my Korean guy. But whatever.
Oh, you wanted Young Hoku?
Oh yeah, my boy got stolen from me I think he got drafted very high. Let's see.
The 22nd pick.
22nd pick. Yeah, I was definitely hoping to draft him.
Wow.
Now that would be funny
Sam.
to see all the players that got drafted after Coup. We'll see. Sam. Some of the
That's a
more.
that's a future episode topic right there. Revisiting the initial draft.
Oh yeah, we want to do that next off season. I think that'd be very fun. There's some. The biggest thing is I always look at is, and because I passed on him, is how far Herbert dropped. So, I wish I drafted him over
Thank
Taylor.
you.
I regretted it once the season started, and then Taylor started, had that monster first season. I was like, oh, I don't regret this anymore, and I just regret it. It's just that. That's it.
That's all right. There's plenty that I regret, so that's a future discussion though.
Oh yeah. All right. Shall we talk about a few of these things? Tanking divisions. Let's talk about tanking. Um, what do you guys think, Andrew, especially? I know that Alec, we talked last week that. So the topic was if you have a kicker and it's they're injured or they're injured, say, or they are on bye, do you have to pick up a kicker to fill that spot?
Well, as somebody who rosters two kickers, I say yes. I roster two just for that exact reason, just of off injury or bye week, whatever happens. And I think it's just a matter of like it gets into a slippery slope of like, okay, it starts with kicker and then it turns into I think the only way that you can honestly say that the person that you start is not playing is like a Monday night matchup, and it's like somebody who is a DB and all of your DBs have played, and you don't have the ability to pick up anybody else. That's my take on it.
But like, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Like, if it's for kickers, sure. Like, you're right. You guys are all right. Like, you can pick up. I'm sure you can pick up a kicker, drop somebody, and pick up a kicker if needed to fill a bye. But say you have three DBs on your team and you don't have any backups, and all three have the same bye week. Do you think you have to pick up three DBs to fill those spots, or three
You got to be
linebackers
able
or
to
something?
find somebody on the end of your roster that you can just be like, all right, like you are kind of just a shot in the dark. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't really need you anymore. Like
Yeah.
maybe not
So
three, but you should be able to pick up like
the only
two.
people that only have 3 DBs on their roster, first of all, are people that are tanking. So their rosters aren't high value in the first place. They're always going to have people at the end of the roster that they can cut. And so, like, the excuse of I use every single uh, spot on my roster for a player that I want, like, I understand that, but rebuilders absolutely don't have that mindset. And this is you're only talking about rebuilders having this situation,
Yeah,
right? Like a
yeah. I mean,
contender is never going to have this situation happen. They're going to want to fill that position anyways.
yeah. I mean, yes, it'll only be rebuilders. Um, but I don't know. Like, it's. Would you be okay with? Okay, so same situation. Maybe somebody just doesn't want the points. What's the limit? Like, do you need to have somebody starting who is not on bye? So what if you have three backup defensive backs that score 0 points a week? They're on bye, and all of a sudden you have to drop those, like drop other people to pick up. Like it just seems like unnecessary. Like you're shuffling around
Yeah,
0 point players. Just
I get what you're saying, but I think it's like an integrity thing though of like, okay, this guy hasn't really played more than like 15% of snaps in any game this year. But like you should still at least make the effort, I think is what it comes down to. At least for
Here-
me.
here's what I think. I think maybe all of it is legal, but it feels scummy. And if it feels scummy, then you shouldn't do it.
I don't know if I can like limit people to on whether like how am I supposed to even do that?
I
Oh,
don't think you can because
No,
are you
I
supposed
don't
to
think that
judge
falls on
every
you as a
single
commissioner.
individual move on if it was like in the best interest of the team? You can't do that.
yeah, and I just don't think. I think if I were tanking, I would be looking at can I just hold five backup safeties who I think have a shot next year? That's what I would be considering. I wouldn't be rostering some random cornerbacks. I wouldn't be rostering like safeties that aren't playing well that are going to get replaced next year. I wouldn't want any of these guys. I'd want guys who have the potential to be, you know, big time players in the future, and those are possibly going to be backup scoring 0 points. And I'd also be looking at my max points for. So I'm just like wondering, like, if we need to be making some rules like this. Like, I think we do, just because of this kicker discussion, which obviously the kicker thing doesn't matter. Like, it's going to be 7, 8 points on max points. Like, it's not a big deal. And also, I think with that, but I do think we don't have a rule set in place. So I do want to like come up with a decent set of rules that we can vote on in the off season, so that we don't have any future issues where half the league's mad at me or Austin or somebody because they're, kind of exploiting something like this where it is like backup safeties in their lineup or whatever. Like, I think we do need to talk about it as a league and figure out what we prefer as a rule set.
This is an idea that literally just popped into my head. And maybe it's something that's a little too far for this, but like, what about the idea of like how there's the emergency quarterback thing? You can do like an emergency taxi squad elevation thing where it's just for like this week because of bye weeks or something like that, and they revert back to taxi squad. And Paul has to use like commissioner powers or something like that.
Yeah, Paul definitely wants to use commissioner powers that regularly.
It's
I
it's a
know. Trust me, I know it's a lot of work, but it's literally just like it, I'm spitballing here.
it's a
Yeah.
fun idea, but yeah, I wouldn't want the extra work. However, there is one other thing related to that I have considered. Um, Trading taxi squad players. You can't keep them on your taxi squad, but I feel like if you trade for a taxi squad player, they should be able to slot into your taxi squad. I don't I don't know if it's possible. I'm
I like that.
pretty sure I have the ability to do that. I'd have to check. But like I feel like that's actually a pretty reasonable rule.
I think the reality of this tanking situation is less about um like removing points and how people do that. It just feels bad to have a league with multiple teams that have bare bones rosters, because those matchups become like instant wins for whoever goes against those people. And I guess that's my biggest annoyance with if you only had 3 DBs and they were all on bye in the same week. It's just like it's a bare bones roster that has a 0% chance of doing anything. It's an embarrassment of a team.
Yeah, but I guess my point though still is if that's the reason you're like don't enjoy or unhappy with it, then there's no difference between them being on bye and it being 3 backup safeties. They're
Oh yeah, I mean there's no way to police it. If you say you have to start somebody, well then just start somebody that is going to score low points. You can't force somebody to maximize their points, because then what you're effectively saying is you can't tank. But we very clearly, I think, have allowed people in our league to tank. So I don't think that's the discussion.
and this is getting off track, but I've brought this up to Alec in the past, and I think Andrew would enjoy it. Is I fleshed out this idea for a 16 team pro rel league. So you have the top team and then like the lower championship, Premier League championship, etc. Where there is promotion and relegation. So every team should in theory be not tanking in the top league. So it was kind of like a
I
harebrained
love
idea that I
this.
had, but it was entertaining. But in in this situation, similar to American sports versus like promotion relegation leagues around the world, that you're not going to get tanking because if you get relegated to the bottom league, then you have no chance of winning the top league, which would win all the money. Maybe you win like a consolation prize for winning the bottom league, but it'd be brutal to drop.
You'd probably still have some tanking just because the players that you can get are that much more valuable.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's
But
worth it because imagine this. You're you're looking to not drop, right? If you don't drop, then you're gonna get the seventh, no, eighth pick in the draft, right? Or am I thinking of this wrong? Yeah,
you get the
eighth pick,
7th pick.
seventh.
Oh, in a
No, seventh
16
pick would
team?
drop.
In the 16
So it'd be
team.
like 10th.
Oh, yeah,
Well, is it
actually,
just the last team that drops, or is it like
maybe last team drops, and that's the and there's
so
8 teams
yeah,
in the
so
top
like
league.
you're technically 10th pick.
Oh yeah, 10th pick. So you either get the 10th pick and you stay up, or you get then you get the ninth pick and you go down, and then you have to stay down for. I guess you could rebuild in the bottom league and try to tank in the bottom league, but then all of a sudden you don't just get to turn around and win the league all of a sudden. You have to get promoted first, and then I don't know. It seems like a mess. I wouldn't want to be in the bottom league, and I don't think this league would work because the bottom league would be miserable. Uh, but it was an idea I had. I don't know. Okay, so what rule would you want, Alec? Like, have you thought about it at all? Because I'm thinking like you have to start a full
there's
lineup.
no rule that makes complete logical sense. There's nothing that is just all encompassing that I can think of.
Yeah, I don't
There's
need an
always a flaw.
all-encompassing rule. I just need something like decent. Like this is what I'm thinking. Like you have to start a full lineup. I was saying like probably QB accepted, but I'm not really sure. Like this would make you the punishment for like yes, you could start a QB or you could start a DB that's a backup or whatever. Um, but you would have to burn those roster spots for the week to be able to pick them up and put them in, I guess. So there's like a small downside.
I think the best you can do is say you have to start someone who's playing, and you have to have a full roster. That's it. Anything more, and it gets a little too crazy.
Yeah, like to me that's fine. I don't mind that. And I also don't even think this strategy is necessarily a good strategy. I think DB I latch onto because DB is the only position where I think you could punt DB for a couple years and be okay, but it might not even be a good idea. I'm not sure. Any other
I'm
position?
beginning to think that it's not a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think maybe it might actually be better to while you're tanking to just kind of like filter through all the DBs that you can, especially with the roster spots that are available to you as a tanker, and try to find those next high scoring safeties or whatnot. So I'm like this
Well,
idea might not even be good for tankers to do.
as somebody who has tanked, it was literally a lot of that though, just throwing stuff at a wall and maybe they'll stick. Like uh, there's a lot of random linebackers and defensive ends that I just cycled through last year just because it's like, maybe I'll get lucky and maybe I'll hold on to them next year. So
I thought that your tank was respectable because you tanked enough to get the number one spot, but you kept all the guys that you cared about, like the TJ Watts and some of the older linebackers, and obviously
well,
guys
and
like T Higgins and Herbert
yeah,
and but like
and
go ahead.
no, I was basically just gonna say that it's just like a lot of some of the older guys too. It's just there was literally no interest in them. So it wasn't even like an opportunity to sell off. So it's like, well, you're worth something, but if I'm not going to get an offer, I'm not exactly like going to shop it around because I mean, you might still have value in a year. In worst case, if you don't have value in a year, okay, well, that changes the strategy.
Yeah, I think
I stay with the tank for a second year. So,
yeah, I think maybe we're thinking this is going to be a bigger issue. And again, I guess we've never even had an issue. It was just like this one off kicker thing, right? I'm not even if it's not even a good strategy, Kyle's doing the closest thing to this, and he's started running backs that have no chance of scoring anything, right? And we've not really questioned it. Like that's not been an issue. And I'm not sure. What do you think about that, Alec?
Sorry, what was the question? I'm uh calculating something.
Like Kyle has started running backs that for sure wouldn't, they won't even get a carry that game because he just doesn't have enough running backs to, but at the same time, there's nobody on the waivers that you can pick up and score points from running back. So I don't,
Yeah, I mean, how are you gonna force someone to start a good running back? Like, Kyle did well to trade his old running back, so.
yeah,
But the point I was gonna make, and why I think the tanking feels worse this year, So Andrew was the 1 seed of tanking last year, right? And Andrew scored 240 points a game. That's like within a range where you can steal a win from a few people. As the worst team in the league, like you still have a possibility of stealing a win here and there on people's off weeks. Now, Andrew only won 2 games last year, but 240 points. This year, Kyle's averaging 225 points a week, and Jack is averaging 216 points per week. Those are such low thresholds that you would expect them to never win against anybody, although they have. So that's where tanking feels worse to me, is when they don't even have a possibility of taking wins off people. And this actually leads to the next talking point, which is divisions and the fairness of your schedule. That's really what tanking is to me, is fairness of schedule.
It does screw it up for sure. Um, I'm not convinced divisions will. It certainly won't solve it completely,
It won't.
but
It will maybe feel better
yeah,
though.
it gives us agency on our scheduling, and we have somebody where, at least this way, we have somebody we'd be able to blame, which is feels good. It feels good to blame somebody for our problems instead of just being the algorithm. So I think I like that part of scheduling of the divisions. And Austin brought up a point where he didn't like the winner of the division automatically making it through. I don't mind. I like it.
Well,
Um,
go back and explain the whole process again, because
yeah,
just in case somebody else is actually listening and not knowing what the hell you're talking about.
yeah. Let's go through the whole process. So we're talking about we're considering divisions. And I haven't really brought it up to the league yet, but I've kind of been thinking it out.
But you've talked to about half the league in the last week about it.
That's the beauty of weddings. I love our weddings because we get to talk a lot of fantasy football over a weekend. It's wonderful. And that's the only thing that matters. Sorry.
Yep.
Uh, Sam probably will listen to
Congratulations,
this.
by the way.
Congrats, Sam. we, we actually never did we even talk about Sam getting married. Sam is married, as everybody knows from Mike's 2:30 a.m. Message, which is awesome. Love that.
That's just a proud dad.
That's just a proud dad. Proud dad after a good night. And it was a good night. So, all right, divisions. Maybe also shout out to Michelle for marrying somebody who is in this league. So, all right. So we're thinking 3 divisions, and basically it'd be a division draft. So I saw this is the comment I saw on Reddit, which got me thinking about it. Um, So you have 3 divisions. It's you take the best 3 teams from the previous year. Alec and I were thinking it should be the top 3 in points for, not necessarily the top 3 playoff teams, but I'm not 100% sure about that actually.
Points points for, or the standings of going into
Well, I guess it
playoffs.
could be playoffs, points for, or standings.
I mean, if you want to make it as balanced as possible, then you go by points for, right? Because that's like the true indication of
Yeah.
team power, regardless of win loss.
I think it feels kind of bad to not have it be the playoff victors, though. You know, the first, second, third place.
Yeah, I think you could do it that way too, and it would be fine.
Yeah, and I just don't think that this is actually going to even things out quite enough where it matters too much if it's just like the points for
Yeah.
drafting or not. But it could be in a situation where somebody lucks into winning the playoffs and then
Hey, you care a little bit more about getting third place then, right?
yeah, you do win some money as third,
You do 100
100
bucks.
bucks, yeah.
Yeah.
And if it just would be weird for the team that's winning it all to get some sort of favorable treatment.
But they don't get favorable treatment.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like in
Okay. Anyways, let's get back to the description
Yeah.
before we
Okay.
discuss.
So top 3 teams. Let's call it the top 3 playoff teams for argument's sake. Um, they would draft in reverse order, I would say. Um, so the third place team gets to go first, gets first pick. They get to pick any team that they want, and then it would just kind of be a snake draft. So third
I
place
don't
would.
think I don't think it would be a snake draft. I think it would be a traditional draft.
You don't think so? I think it would be a snake draft because
But snake draft
snake draft would be.
helps out the 1 seed more. Like you're actually you want the 3rd seed to have the easier division than the 1 seed. You would snake draft if you want them to be somewhat
It's more even with a snake
balanced.
draft, but yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it could go either way. I'd have to think about it. Okay, so say it's a regular or a snake draft. Yeah, yeah, you're kind of convincing me that it should be a regular draft because then the third seed gets the easiest schedule, right?
Yeah, you're trying to give the 1 seed the hardest schedule, kind of.
Yeah, but we're also trying to even out the scheduling as well. Like it's kind of dual purpose. We're not
Yeah, that's
trying to
true.
just fuck over the one
Maybe
seed.
it is a snake. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
snake. Okay.
Okay, so
Anyways,
we'll discuss that later. Snake or I don't know what the regular draft is called. Um, okay, so say it's a snake draft. So then the third place, they get to pick the, and then it just becomes a draft. You're just drafting the teams that you want in your division. So after you get all that, then what actually happens is hopefully the divisions are fairly even in strength, and then you play each of your division rivals twice, and then the other 8 teams once. Luckily, the scheduling works out absolutely perfectly with this system. And then, in theory, we should have like pretty even schedules if each division is of similar strength, and then you play everybody else once. Um, Overall, you should be playing about the same level of schedule as everybody else. So, as far as like fairness goes, it's better than our current system, I would say. And then I think what would be fun is that the divisional games would be probably like 3 at the very beginning of the year, 3 at the very end of the year. Maybe you can split it up 2-2-2, something like this. So you would have these like high impact games towards the end of the year, for instance, just like in the real NFL. And then I think as playoffs would go, I'm not sure yet. I think we were talking about getting rid of the 6th seed for tops point four, but we can talk about that today. Um, but top of the division would make it, and then the top of the division, the top 2 would be the bye weeks, and then the next 3 would just go by overall standings, I believe. Or possibly we still have a top points for getting the 6th seed. Thoughts?
yeah. So is this the first time you heard
Um,
of this, Andrew?
Paul messaged me as well. So, uh, basically, my thoughts were kind of like I don't care if we do the divisions, automatically get in or not, but if they do, I think we should remove the top points for, just because it's like, you already have 3 auto locks, and you could potentially still be a 4th best team in the league, then miss out on the playoffs uh, in that next with the top points for. I mean, that's very unlikely, but I think that just, you're already having 3 auto locks. It just helps open up, true competitive balance uh that way. And because if you're, still a top 4 team, but you come in 4th place in your division, I would be pretty upset if I missed out.
So if you were the 4th,
You
isn't
could
there
be
a
the 4th
situation
seed tech.
where everyone could make it?
Yeah, like you could have your whole division and then the 2 other division winners.
Like that's a possibility, although probably pretty unlikely. If
Exactly.
I am totally
I
fine.
think it takes going like 2 and 4 in your division and then like running the table outside of your division.
yeah, you need your division to win against everyone else, and then you need basically everything else to be a bloodbath where everyone's going very 50-50. Very few teams are having
Yeah.
low loss seasons.
It's a very niche scenario, but I mean, I'm open to this idea, especially if people are concerned about balance of schedules and everything. I just think like it's really just more so like if you already have 3 auto locks, then it should just be the next 3 top available teams. Because then
I'm
it does put more of an emphasis on why we're putting this division in place, not only just for schedule balance, but also for like, okay, well, it does mean something. I think if we're gonna go for it, go all in with the idea.
and
I
I
think
agree with
the
Andrew on this one.
biggest benefit of this type of schedule is actually dispersing the losing teams from the prior year evenly. Many teams are going to have the opportunity to face all 3 bad teams during their uh for the person they're gonna face twice. Like for this year, I don't know if anybody actually has the schedule, but if you lucked into a schedule where you play Kyle twice, you play Jack
Jack,
twice, and then you play
Adcock,
Adcock or
Mike.
Mike twice,
Yeah.
like that's that's like such an easy schedule. But that is never gonna happen in the a drafted division type
It
schedule,
it
right?
could if
And
people
that's
decide
kind
to
of what we're
tank
trying to
though.
avoid.
It could still happen, and that's just a
Yeah,
fact of life, fact of fantasy that could happen if people decide to tank. You know, we were Alec and I were doing a draft of like a mock draft, and basically because Kyle tanked so hard. I mean, Kyle went from second place to last place, right? So I mean, hey, look, Andrew went from first to last too. So
I think Kyle though as a second place. Well, it depends on if he's the one drafting. If he wasn't the one drafting, I think Kyle would have been a middle draft pick in uh in this situation. I
he would
think
have
people
probably
knew
been fifth, maybe sixth. Yeah,
maybe something like that.
fifth. Not really. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would say probably Cerruti goes ahead of him. Just people eyeing all the draft picks he had and the potential he has to make a move. But I'm not even sure if he'd go ahead of Austin or not. I think he would go ahead of Austin or behind Austin. Like people would view him as stronger than Austin. I guess my point still is these things are possible, but it's less likely. And if that does happen, it's just the drafter's fault, and that's why I like about it.
Yeah, then you can't complain that you got screwed by the AI.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't actually have to do divisions. We can actually just draft out for the scheduling. But I think I like the divisions anyways, even
The
without.
division idea does sound fun because like the rivalry idea maybe, but
Yeah. And I don't think it's gonna affect things too crazily, like as far as. And I also don't like the top points for getting the 6 seed. We voted it in with a pretty high margin, what, 2 years ago, I think, and I'm just not a fan. Like even this year, I'm benefiting. Just I've been in the playoff slots. That's not this year. I've been in the playoff slots despite not having the
I
best
think
record, but I just think it's less fun. Like Andrew's now like, okay, my path to the playoffs is really difficult, even though I'm ahead of Shane here by wins, just because I mean, all the teams around me have a high points for. It's yes, it's not as fair maybe, but I prefer it just being the wins and losses. I think I don't really enjoy having this extra aspect of it. I just think it kind of goes against the sporting like nature
uh
that we have.
I'll I think actually this year is a good counter argument for the 6 seed because it's close enough that it feels like any one of us could be deserving of the 6 seed, and that's why you would say remove that rule. But I think the reason we voted it in the first place was because I was like the top point scorer in year 1 for much of the season, and I was sitting below the playoff threshold. So that's kind of what got people voting for it. Like, imagine if Sam right now was sitting where Todd or Shane is sitting. I feel like that's why it got voted in. Because people saw that and it's like, oh, that's bullshit. He should be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that that's just part of fantasy. Like that's kind of why we enjoy it. It's just like you could have a sick team, but you just have shit luck with your points against. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just
definitely
more
is
of a
part of
redraft
fantasy.
mindset.
It is part of fantasy.
It could just be, yeah, it could
I
just be a
still,
redraft mindset too. But
I don't know. I feel like at least in this aspect, like redraft and dynasty are, it shouldn't matter too much. And I say this being in second to last place in my redraft league right now with the second highest point scored. I'm not going to make the playoffs. I just got fucked over this year, and I'm okay with it. I think it's just part of fantasy. I've laughed at Alec in the past for having the same exact situation, and finally I'm getting, you know,
Yeah, karma is coming, bitch.
and that's fun. It's fun to make fun of Alec for, missing out on the playoffs. It's fun for making fun of me for missing out on the playoffs despite being deserving. It makes me mad, yes, and it's kind of entertaining overall. So I think it's a lot less entertaining. Like this is such like I don't know, like it's like a lame European soccer league where you don't have playoffs or something, like stuff like that. Like I think this is American football, American fantasy football, and wins and losses count, damn it. So that's what I think. It's and it's also why I never really was interested in like Rado baseball, like that was like the predominant fantasy format for baseball forever. And
Yeah.
it's like it's more accurate. The best team, the best player wins more often, but I think you do lose some of the fun aspects of it. And I think divisions will be fun. I think the rivalries will be fun. I think having those 3 games all together, I think the best would be 3 games at the end. I'm not sure about the 3 games at the beginning, but 3 games at the end of the year, which are all divisional rivalries, I think that'll be a blast. Everything will matter so much, every game. So,
it also changes one how you trade. Just because are you really going to want to help somebody in your division? But two, like you could have a division like the NFC South where somebody's got to win it.
who do we have?
Hello?
Oh, are you joining the podcast, Zach?
Oh my god. I should have known that's what was happening.
Hey, Zach.
Zach.
Wait, who is Breezy 12?
It's
That
Andrew.
would be Andrew.
That's
Oh, it's Andrew.
Brzezinski.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. What topic are you discussing?
Divisions. For or against? Quick
Think you
thought.
cut out.
For or against?
Divisions.
Pick a side.
Gotta pick a side.
That's pretty broad. I meant
In
specifically.
Dynasty. Like, okay, so to give a quick rundown, there's been a little bit of complaining this year on scheduling fairness, right? So we're kind of talking about creating divisions that get drafted in such a way that, let's say there's 3 very clear bottom teams. Those 3 teams are going to get dispersed among the 3 divisions, and the scheduling of the divisions are you play. So there's 3 divisions, 4 teams in each division. You face each of the other 3 teams 2 times. That's already how it is right now. We kind of have that type of schedule where you face 3 teams 2 different times. But the gist of it is that we pick the division rather than a randomly generated schedule where some people luck into having
And it gets
3
repicked
soft
every year
2x
as well.
games.
I mean, I think that's fine. I just think there's always like surprise.
For sure.
I guess this year is going pretty chalk outside of your team kind of being down. But I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion either way, to be honest. I feel like people, if we do that and then it's like there's like an imbalance, I feel like that's worse than just randomly doing it. But
Well, see,
random
that's
isn't
what we were thinking
necessarily
about it. Like, if,
fair.
because yeah, with the random division, like the random scheduling, it's the same situation where you get to play, three teams twice, and if those three teams are trash teams, then yeah, you have a huge advantage. However, we hope with divisions it'll reduce the
Who's
risk.
honestly though, who's even benefiting right now?
I mean,
There's literally
right
like
now it's not too bad. No, I don't
Todd
think.
gets to play Kyle and Jack both twice, right? Is that
Yeah, the
is that
risk
correct?
would be that you are randomly selected, and say I get to play Jack, Kyle, and Mike, all three of those teams twice. If that happened, then that's a huge advantage. But if we had the divisions and we're drafting it, there's like a lower chance than that would happen. Like
It could still happen, but it's lower, I think.
it'd be yeah, I think it'd be unlikely. So, however, Kyle and Jack were both playoff teams last year. So,
yeah, I assume you wouldn't do this until like the very last possible moment though. Like you wouldn't generate the schedule.
I
You
think
wouldn't generate it until like a week before the season starts.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure when we would do it. I'd be
If
more
you're
tempted to.
looking for like the whole point of this is to be fair. If you're looking for fairness,
I
It's
think
not.
Zach
that's
actually
the
brings
only
up a
that's the
good point
only way
though.
to do it.
It's not fully to be fair though either. It's like a combination of being fair and trying to make, like have an entertaining schedule as well and an entertaining like league. So
Yeah, it's good to have some surprises.
Well, are you telling me that the core four wouldn't be a division? Because I feel like that'd have to be a division.
I think we're too good.
Yeah, we're just the same division every year.
Way too good. So anyways, so we'll talk about some more. We're gonna be kind of looking into it a bit more and seeing what
Dude, that'd be an
we want to do.
interesting. How would we even do if we were gonna do like closeness of relationship divisions? It would almost be impossible. I actually don't even know how that would work.
2
I
6
guess you could put
man
me.
divisions.
You could put like
Ohio versus
me.
Chicago.
Well, it would be like you could put me, Todd, and Shane together. That's an easy one. But then like Andrew obviously needs to be with Kyle.
All right.
I
That's
guess you
not
could
how we're
put.
gonna do it. And we're gonna move on.
Oh
Oh, are you guys actually recording this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. Well, cut the last 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Zach. No, actually, that was good having you on. Appreciate it.
I didn't even do anything.
Hey, you talked about divisions. It was perfect. All right, what else we want
I
to
don't
talk
really
about?
feel like I said anything. So,
You're gonna get judged heavily from our 1 to 2 viewers for your awful opinion.
I think we're gonna have 3 viewers. I think Sam,
as I said, I don't really
Austin.
have a strong opinion, but I feel like if you're doing it, you should just do it to be as fair as possible, which means doing it as late as you can.
Yeah, I just don't love the idea of doing it super late. Like I was thinking about doing it
What is the
before the
difference? We
draft.
don't. Who looks at their schedule in like July? No one.
Yeah, but we have to have a moment where you know your division, and like your division will impact your um.
Oh, is the division going to impact playoff berth?
No. It's gonna. Well, yeah.
Well,
Because that would be
somewhat.
dumb, in my opinion.
Divisions.
Only somewhat. Only somewhat.
The winners of the 3 divisions would make the playoffs, and then after that it would be based on regular standings.
I feel like that's almost guaranteed no matter what.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of hate that. Like, you're telling me, let's just say there's like a Seattle Seahawks from like, what was that, like 2008
Yeah, 7 and 9 or something.
or something? Like, yeah, like you have like some insanely weird division. Like, let's say you had an Andrew Todd, Jack Kyle division.
Yeah, but how are you getting that
Like,
from from a drafted division? Because you're guaranteed to have a top 3 team in the division from last year.
But a
okay,
team
that
could
literally
be
would be
worse
Kyle.
the next year.
That'd literally be Kyle.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I'm just saying. So let's say you had that division, just ran like whatever, and then you
Yeah.
have like someone who has like the 8th most points in the league getting a playoff spot. That would be way more infuriating than like what it is now. I just don't feel like there's any way. I don't know. I would never want to guarantee like something on a dumb. I guess right now you would say, well, their record could be higher, but I feel like if you're loading it in the division sense.
Yeah, what if there's a division full of tankers by happenstance, and then the division winner is a 6-8 team? We're probably not too happy with the outcome of this change. If that
I just don't. I would love. Okay, Paul,
Is
please quickly explain to me then the positive of making these divisions before like 2 weeks before the season.
It allows people to have make decisions based on their division. I think it would reduce the amount of off-season activity if people didn't know what their division was until the last minute.
I agree
Really?
with that.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, like
I feel
I
like
don't know what my
you're.
schedule is. I'm a middling team. Do I contend? Do I tank? What's my decision? You know what? I'm gonna wait till the divisions come out. I'll see how hard it looks to make it.
Yeah. You didn't look at your
But the
schedule? I looked at
division
my
doesn't
schedule
really
for
matter. But your whole point is that the division actually isn't impacting like your ability to make the playoffs, or it shouldn't be too much. It should be very minimal, right? That was the whole
It should be
point.
minimal. It should be minimal.
It should be, but
The only point of it was to like not have someone have an inflated or a deflated,
no, it's
which
not the only
which would
point.
only be a couple teams.
The other benefit is that it's entertainment, right? To have divisional rivalries, to be able to
Sure,
have
sure.
three
I
games
get
at the
that.
end that would, because
I
like
get
think
it.
about scheduling, I can schedule it so that the last 3 games of the season are all divisional games, which theoretically should be pretty entertaining. I'm not sure how it would actually play out, but
Sure.
yeah.
I still just don't see. I guess in my head, I don't think there's a lot of like middle line players most of the time. Like
I mean, this season
we've had
have
like
8
some that are kind of like
defenders.
flexing it in the middle. Like I guess you'd say like Todd is currently kind of that.
Yeah.
Andrew's kind of that right now. But like I don't feel like anyone's decision is like I need to tank or I need to go for it based on like your division. There's 8 other teams. Like I just don't think that's gonna matter. Like
I don't.
in my
I
head,
think
I'm not like, oh,
everybody.
my division's hard.
I'm pretty sure
I could be the
everybody
worst
looked at
team in
their
my division
schedule.
and still make the playoffs.
I think
And it
everybody
doesn't
looked at
really
their schedule.
matter, huh?
Don't you think
I
everybody looked at
mean,
their
let's just
schedule
say
this year and
I
looked at whether it was difficult or hard and made decisions based on that?
I no, because in my mind, I have a team that's good enough to make the playoffs, and then once I make the playoffs, nothing matters. Like literally, Andrew had, in my opinion, a bottom 6 team the year he won, and he like made the playoffs, and then like had a couple of defensive players and Mark Andrews go insane, and he won the thing. Like it's not like last year. Alec had a very like chalk run, although he would have lost his second round matchup in like any other matchup. He got kind of lucky in the way it drew.
What was
But
even
like
luckier there
that
was
doesn't like I'm just saying like I just don't think matchup like that in the division matters. Like for me, I'm never gonna be like, wow, my division's so good. I need to tank. If I think my team is decent and stacks up against everyone
look.
else,
We're
I'm
not
not
saying
tanking.
that
It just seems idiotic.
It's not like your division is trash. You're gonna go for it. It's not that the rest of the division's amazing. You're gonna tank. These things just matter more on the margins, right? Like it's not. It does make an impact, and I think people will view uncertainty as scary and not knowing their
Do you think there's a
schedule.
single person this year that
I
said,
think that Zach,
I looked at my schedule and that's what's determining what I'm going to do?
Zach, I
I don't think
think
there's a
that
single person.
everybody looked at their schedule and they're like, okay, this is fine. I can go for it. What if you didn't know your
What?
schedule until
Dude,
the
you're
last
talking about like
Wait,
one win
Zach.
in either direction.
Zach, 1 second. Imagine you don't know your schedule until the season starts. Do you think you're
Great.
going to
That's me
make?
this year.
Do you think you're okay?
Keep going.
Alec, Andrew, let's. How about you guys? Like, if you didn't know your schedule until the season started, would you make the same off-season moves that you did? Or what do you
so
think that
frankly,
would
I didn't
do
look
so?
at mine at all, but I do
Yes.
think it matters
What are you
more
talking
so.
about?
I do. Well, here's the point though. I think it more so matters if you end up in a division like an NFC South. Like, okay, well, I can actually make the playoffs just because my division, who they're supposed to be a top 3 team in it, and there's supposed to be another team who made the playoff. They're struggling because of injuries. down year, whatever, I might change it midway through the season and be like, all right, well,
Exactly.
this is a buying
That's what I was gonna say.
opportunity.
No one
I
cares
can-
until you're actually in it. Like no one can predict like what's gonna happen. Like Austin losing
but I think that's a
3.
benefit to it.
Yeah, so like if you are in a position where you're an unlikely playoff.
Okay, guess
in a-
what? That has nothing to do with my point, which is set the division schedule at the very end. That has nothing to do
Why does
with
it matter
my
then?
point,
Because
which is
you're
what's
saying
the
that it
negative
doesn't
of setting it
matter
as late
one
as
way or
possible.
another. You're not even like arguing to have the division schedule set late. You're just arguing that it doesn't matter at all, right?
I'm saying if you're going for fairness, in the whole point, like obviously part of it's entertainment. I get that. But just having divisions in general, I think, provides the entertainment, not necessarily the matchups, unless we like the personal aspect of the matchups, what I think would actually be cool. But who cares? Maybe it doesn't really matter. There's some people in
But-
here who don't really have a personal relationship with many people. Whatever.
I
My
actually
point
agree with
is,
Zach.
I said, could you provide me a reason why you wouldn't put it as late as possible? Your whole point is that people look at their schedule to determine whether or not they're going to go for it or tank and make trades. I don't think there's a single person in this league who used their schedule as a determining factor for what they wanted to do with this season. What they used was my roster versus everyone else's roster in
Okay,
the league.
then tell me, Zach.
That's it.
Zach, then why does it matter that we do it the last week?
It matters
What?
because
Are you like not listening to a single word I'm
No,
saying?
no. Zach, tell me
Because you want it to be as fair as possible.
why does it
And
make it
some
as fair
people
as
do
possible?
Some people decide to tank, but they don't do it until after the draft. And then as the season progresses. Say someone on their team had like a bad injury in preseason. Then they're like, well, I lost like 2 people here. Oh, the guy I drafted isn't going to be starting. Oh, maybe I don't have the depth that I think I need, or maybe I don't like. I just think the later you push it, the more guaranteed you are to know what everyone's intentions are, and at that point, that's just the best option in my opinion. It's the same reason I
Yeah, but you're
wanted the
also the
draft
person
to
who
be later.
wants to draft
Is because
like
I felt
the
like
last fucking week.
knowing the
you
most
know?
information is always better than knowing less information when you're trying to make an informed decision. The later we push it to the start of the season, the better idea we're going to have of what everyone is going to do. Like, when did Kyle start tanking last year, Alec?
I don't know specifically.
Like a week
But
before the draft or something? Like 2 weeks before,
he-
maybe?
He didn't
started taking
trade
probably
for
like
any
early
23
August.
picks though.
Yeah, it was late. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was late. That's right. Like, if we would have made this schedule in July, like, you would have put Kyle as a top 3 team.
Okay, then
And then
Zach-
we would have been in this exact
Zach,
situation,
we're
except
talking about
maybe
this.
worse.
My point still absolutely stands because if you don't make like people are gonna like say you're making your tank go for a decision, right? If you want to tank, then don't you want to pretend that your team is as good as possible? Why would you would want to wait until the draft happens and then tank, right? The divisional draft. Correct? So say Kyle wouldn't
don't
want
know.
to Kyle wouldn't want to start his tank until the draft happens because he wants
Then
to get
I would. Do you
drafted
know what I would
higher.
do then? I would want a restructure because then we're literally defeating the purpose of this entire thing.
I mean, the point
If that happened and someone started tanking like 3 days
the
after
point
the
is
thing,
to get the
redo it.
divisions right, and the point is trying to have as fair of a fair schedule. But like you're otherwise it's just going to be random. I mean, it's a little better this way to not have it randomized. Is kind of the point.
But the point
And
I'm
at
making
the
is
end of
it's
the day,
still
you can
kind of
still-
random unless you know what people are intending to do.
It's
And
less
if you don't know
random
what
than
people are
pure.
intending to do,
It's less random than a pure
Yes, but
algorithmic
you can only-
choice.
that's true.
And you
That's
can
true.
point at yourself and be like, okay, well, I thought I was doing the best thing at that time, but guess what? I was wrong. You can only blame yourself. Bad information, maybe, but I think you still are only pointing at yourself.
I have interesting thought too. So Kyle would have been one of the drafters this year. So let's say he decides to tank. Is he still a drafter if we go with Zach's theory of doing the divisions at the latest possible moment? Is Kyle still the person drafting?
Like you can't really just change it.
Yeah,
can
because
you?
it's based off of last year.
Yeah.
So if it's based off of last year, and Kyle's now in tank mode.
He wants the
doesn't-
best team possible.
I'm just saying, doesn't he not have any incentive to make a fair schedule? Like he could just troll the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, he'd want the hardest
Like
schedule
why wouldn't you
possible,
just?
right?
He doesn't care.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter at all, does it?
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter
Doing it
because of max PF.
points, yeah.
But I'm just saying he has no incentive to make a fair schedule.
But you wouldn't want too good of a schedule either, because you might luck into the playoffs.
Yeah, you luck into the playoffs and then
Yeah.
I don't know
Alright.
how you're saying people are drafting this, but as I said, I just think there's no downside. No downside.
I think
I don't know.
I mean, I
just
think
disagree-
it absolutely
disagree
would.
entirely.
It would absolutely affect the off season, and we want the off season to be interesting and fun. And in order for that to happen, the
Oh,
draft has to happen.
I still like. Can you point to a single person who
Zach-
made moves based on the schedule?
Okay.
Do you know of anybody? Has anyone said, "Man, I really looked at the schedule this year.
Zach,
I'm
but we're
deciding to go on it."
completely changing how the schedule is created. By doing that, we're going to affect behavior.
Oh, I think minimally at best. Everyone wants to believe their team is the best team.
Yeah, but if you're
Like,
going to
and if
choose
you
to
have a
tank,
fair
then
shake to
you're
believe
going to
that,
want to pretend that your team is better for longer. And it's not like there's some like timer out there. Like you can trade all of your picks or all of your players during the season or that last week before the season starts. Like I'd rather have an extended off season with a lot of trades, and I think people need information in order to do that.
I think
And
this
that's why
information is literally worthless.
and
I
that's
don't think it
also
does like anything.
and that's also why we draft earlier, which I know you don't like, but
It's
it's the same reason.
I don't think it's terrible. I was against it at the beginning. I think it's fine now. As I said, I actually don't have strong opinions on this division thing, even though it sounds like it considering how heated I'm getting in this argument. I just think that you're being an idiot when you're like even though I don't have strong opinions, I can't sit here and be like, wow, what you're saying makes no sense. I'm just gonna let that go. I don't know. It's a character flaw sometimes, but it blows
yeah.
my mind that you think that anyone is going to be like, man, my division is effing hard. I'm out of here. Like I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Because at the very least you'd think, all right, if I'm really good, even if I'm the 4 seed, I can still
Zach,
potentially get in.
you're not. I'm not saying that it's going to be your whole decision is going to be made on this. I do think that it will be difficult for people to make. I think we will have more off-season activity if we just draft the divisions when we do like the rookie draft, you know. And I don't know. You can disagree if you want, but
Yeah, I just do very very harshly, but that's okay.
all
I
right.
don't think as a contender.
I just think the fact that you
All
can't
right,
point
all
to a
right,
single
let's-
person
Zach,
who's done this means that you're just wrong. I just don't understand how like
All right,
that has no effect
Zach,
here.
thank you for your time on the podcast. We're going to wrap things up because we need to do some other stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about it some more later. Bye. All right.
Alec, can you kick me? Can you kick me, Alec?
Do you want me to kick?
I want you to
Zach?
kick me, Alec. I want to get kicked out of this
Oh, my
conversation.
Zach, it's always a pleasure. All right. Let's talk predictions.
I mean, I'm still here. Alec has to kick me until
You want me to
Until I
kick
go.
Zach?
you have to kick me for.
It doesn't matter. I can mute him. All right. Let's do predictions.
All right. Bye, Zach.
Okay. Entertaining as
If this doesn't get
always.
viewers, I don't know what will.
We're in the 1 hour 23 minutes here, so I don't think we're gonna get any viewers on this bit. So week 9, let's see. All right, predictions. So divisions hotly contested. Week 9, let's just fill in what. So I won. Did Zach win last? Yeah, Zach. Mike. Oh yeah, Austin won. And Drew beats And then Kyle beats Shane. Okay. So not so great overall, our records. Then let's see. I win, Sam wins. Andrew, you won, right? Or did
No,
Oh,
Zach.
Zach won.
Just rub it in.
Mike won.
Mike, Austin, Alec. Right? Shane, did Shane lose? Or this is week. Yeah. Oh, that was such a close game. Interesting. All right, so Sam goes undefeated that week, and Sam pulls into first for that. All right, very good. All right, week 11. Alec, what's your prediction here? And we'll go guess prediction
It's
here.
gotta be me, baby.
It's gotta be me. All right, fine. Alec, I'm voting myself.
Oh, that's crazy. I couldn't have seen that coming.
All right, guess prediction. Andrew.
Oh shit.
Let's see here. Who has the lower point scored on the year? Oh, it's Paul, so I'm going Alec.
Let's go, Andrew. You're my guy.
Okay, Sam v. Andrew. I think I'm going Sam. I think Sam's gonna go Sam too, and I think I'm guessing everybody will go Sam, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
sorry, Andrew. I'll be rooting for you.
No,
But
no, it's
actually,
okay.
will
I'm
I be
picking
rooting for
Sam
you?
as well.
Speaking Sam as well. All right, great. Zach versus Kyle. I think everybody will be happy to pick Zach here. I don't know. Kyle's been reeling off some decent weeks. Alec
I'm taking Zach.
and Andrew.
Chalk.
What?
Zach.
Oh,
I said chalk like with Zach across the board.
gotcha. All right, Mike v. Shane. I'm gonna go with Mike. I don't know why. I believe in him. Alec, you have a thought?
Taking Shane.
Andrew.
Definitely Shane. Definitely not doing a reverse jinx here at all either.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna pick Austin over Adcock.
Austin.
Yeah. Andrew, you want Austin on
Yep.
this? All right.
Yep.
And then you know what? I'm gonna go Jack. I'm feeling the 5 and 6, so I'm a believer. Alec, you gonna go Todd here?
Could happen, but I think I'm still going Todd.
All right.
Jack's had some pretty pitiful performances
It's
recently.
been pretty bad. Todd's probably gonna win this,
Oh.
but I'm rooting for 5 and 6.
I
Andrew,
really want the 5 and 6.
want the 5 and
but
6 in
I
a row.
gotta-
Todd.
But you can just basically copy and paste Alec and I's picks. Definitely, again, not a reverse jinx here at all. But
Okay. All right. Any more thoughts on the divisions? I mean, I
Oh, we
think.
want to go back to that? We didn't talk enough about that?
Yeah, I guess we did.
Zach, back in here. Get him back in.
I think
No,
Zach's take was fine. It's just that we had already been talking about it for 30 minutes before that. So it kind of just dragged on.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's fine.
I actually don't think it matters when you do the draft.
I don't think it
I
matters
think-
too much. I just think it's better to get it done with at the beginning. Just like I just worry again. Like I just want that off season to be interesting, and I worry that people would wait until like the draft happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility that people see, oh, I have a soft division. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, but
It could happen. It could happen.
I think that could definitely happen. I think also people aren't going to want to trade their picks necessarily until the draft does happen. Just because, like, yeah, I mean, I think you don't want to show that you're a tanker yet, right? So, as far as off-season activity goes, which is an important thing for the league, I think, is it's a dynasty league. Trade should be happening most of the year, right? So, I mean, we had I think 30 trades in the off season this year, and that was really fun. And I think it'd be good to continue that and to have it like be a high trade environment in the off season. So
Now, I don't agree with this thought, but just to go off of the high activity in the offseason, do you then consider opening up free agency directly after the playoffs or like have a smaller window? You know what I mean?
I think it's a possibility. Yeah. I also don't think that part would matter as much.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
impact it as much, but
I I think it's nice to have
I
the
do.
off
I do
season.
personally like the break
Yeah, I like it.
because
I
like it
think
just turn your brain off.
yeah, and you can still make trades, but I just think not much is going to happen until the rookie draft even occurs, right? So it's kind of
If anything, you get more of a tankers just picking up random flyers because it's not going to affect their points for anymore.
yeah, or some like I mean, I think it would just end up being Alec reading a ton of stuff or listening to a ton of stuff and picking up random people. Uh, I'm not sure. I think I like being able to turn off football for a few months. I like that a lot. And then, I mean, that's what it's not even that long of a period. And then
No.
I'm basically for making that rookie draft as soon as possible. I don't think we'll ever really get it before like June, but I think we did. What did we do a July rookie draft this year? I forget.
Mid late July.
Mid late July. Like I would be down for a like a mid June rookie draft. I just think once the rookie draft happens, that kind of opens up the season, and the trades start happening after that. We didn't. I don't think we had any trades until the rookie draft. Maybe like a couple trades like the day of or the day before.
Pitts. Pitts Olave.
Mm.
That trade happened like before.
Was that how long before?
I think a few months before actually.
Okay, so that was like deep in the off season. All right, gonna close out this podcast, entertaining one. We will hi to our three. I really think it's gonna be. I don't think Adcock will have made it this far. This would be 45 minutes for him at twice speed. Uh, I don't think maybe Austin makes it on his commute. So we will see. Hi Austin. Hi Sam. Maybe. And thank you Andrew for coming on and staying on the whole time.